Life Audio.
Welcome to the Crosswalk Devotional. We're glad to have you listening with us. Today's topic is on grasping God's heart for us. We'll return with the devotional after a brief message from our sponsors.
For some of us, personal finances aren't just personal. They include loved ones, neighbors, the communities we call home, and the causes we hold in our hearts. At Thrivent, planning your finances is bigger than just money. We help you put your plans into motion and faith into action so you can do more for the ones in your heart. Because sometimes all you need to make a difference is someone to help you make it happen. Thrivent, where money means more. Connect with us at Thrivent.com.
Health insurance rates are surging in America, leaving millions without affordable options. But Christians don't need to waste money on a broken system. Christian Healthcare Ministries is an alternative to health insurance at half the cost. With CHM, fellow believers contribute monthly to help pay each other's medical bills while lifting one another in prayer. It's financial and spiritual support when you need it most. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
Declared precious and honored, written and read by Jennifer Slattery. Since you are precious and honored in my sight, and because I love you, I will give people in exchange for you, nations in exchange for your life. Isaiah 43, verse 4. Do you ever feel like a burden, unimportant, or insufficient? Maybe you're a parent of an adult child and you wonder if your son or daughter truly wants to hang out with you. Or maybe they're in that young adult phase where developmentally they're figuring out who they are and are forging new relationships and for a time separating from you. And maybe that feels like a rejection that triggers negative self-talk. Or maybe there's another relationship that doesn't quite feel emotionally safe or reciprocal. Those circumstances can leave us feeling insignificant and unvalued. I understand how that feels. For much of my life, I battled feelings of insecurity and wounds that challenged my ability to see myself as valuable, let alone precious. Yet that's precisely how God sees me. Even on my worst, most sinful, and emotionally dysregulated days, He calls me precious. I say that based on the context surrounding today's verse and all that was occurring with the nation of Israel when God first spoke these words through the Old Testament prophet Isaiah. God's people had rebelled against Him for generations to worship idols. They abandoned the Lord who watched over them, loved, protected, and guided them. The people resorted to violence, oppressed and used one another, and perpetuated injustice. For centuries, the Lord urged them to return to Him and live in the freedom for which He created them, but they refused. This grieved the Lord. The very fact that He addressed their sin through numerous prophets and in many chapters shows how much He longed for a restored relationship with them and for them to love one another well, for His kids to stop abusing His kids. Listen to His heart expressed to His rebellious children in Isaiah 30, verse 18. Therefore, the Lord longs to be gracious to you, and therefore He waits on high to have compassion on you. For the Lord is a God of justice. How blessed are all those who long for Him. New American Standard Bible. Then, about 12 chapters later, He promised to send His Son who, according to Isaiah 42, verse 3, would show gentleness to those weighed down by their burdens and who felt ready to break. Then we get to Isaiah chapter 43, one of my favorite passages in Scripture because it reminds me that we're never alone in our chaos, even when we've landed in messes of our own making. Intersecting life and faith. God remains with us when we feel like we're drowning, and He promises He won't let the waves overtake us. Why? Because we are precious to Him. He calls us precious when we faithfully read our Bibles, pray, serve in ministry, and regularly attend church. He also calls us precious when we react out of fear or frustration, give in to our pride, and do and say things that cause our friends and loved ones pain. Obviously, he doesn't condone our sin, but neither is that all he sees when he looks at us. Instead, he sees our redemption and the righteousness of Christ. He remembers when he knit us together in our mother's womb, as Psalm 139 verse 13 states, when we took our first steps, made our first friend, and first received his gift of life. When he gazes upon me and you, his deeply flawed but deeply loved children, he also sees our potential, who by his grace will one day become, and he calls us precious, rare, valuable, costly, and highly esteemed. Men and women he cherishes, carries, and protects. People he loved so much, he sent his son to free us from the mess we've all collectively created. How does that truth hit? The wounded parts of me find this surprising, but I'm learning to cast aside all the lies I've absorbed about myself and to live more firmly anchored in the truth my Father proclaims, because he alone has the authority to determine our value. And again, he says we're precious. Lord, help us to receive your words as truth. If this is something you struggle with, I invite you to read through my upcoming Bible reading plan on identity titled Embracing Your True Self, Living in Your Christ-Centered Identity, coming soon to the YouVersion Bible app.
The Crosswalk Devotional is a production of Life Audio and Salem Media. If you liked what you heard today, please take a second to rate and review this podcast in your favorite podcast app so that more listeners like you can find the show. For more faith-filled, inspirational podcasts, visit us at lifeaudio.com.
What happens when a writer and former history teacher goes toe-to-toe with his best friend, a nationally touring stand-up comedian? Total carnage, that's what. 2 men enter, and 2 men leave, because that's how it works.
Actually, you get hilarious, real, and insightful conversations about life, history, culture, faith, and everything in between.
Join me, comedian Johnny W., and my pal, author and speaker John Driver for Talk About That at lifeaudio.com or wherever you get your podcasts.